Hi, friends.
Jack.
Ian, yeah.
Jack, my
Hi.
pretty. Hi.
Hi. Hello. It's been a while.
It has been forever and a day. So,
I mean, not a while since you and I have talked, but since
well,
we've been sitting here doing this.
we've talked a couple of times, but this is the first time that we've fired up the microphones. We had a script. First of all, hello everyone. Welcome to the podcast of the nerds. I'm Ian.
And my name is Jack.
It's been forever and a day. The last one we did was, I think, mid-December, right before you were on your way to Sydney.
Yep.
And I was getting I was getting a Buffy video up, or an Angel video up for January 1st, and then I was taking a little trip to New York.
Yeah. A little
And then
trip
some
to New
things
York.
happened.
Some things happened to both of us. Yeah.
Yeah, so we worked up a script today for this, and
We did.
I just told Jack about 5 minutes ago we're throwing it out the window, and then said, hit record.
Ian at the last minute, of course, just said, Jack, we're not doing that. We're just going to wing it. I'm like, all right, Captain.
You know,
let's
the
go.
funny thing is that I have a reputation for not being very impulsive, and yet,
With this podcast you have, come to think of it, we've done a lot of impulsive things that are...
yeah. Well, we were
Yeah.
going to talk about the we were going to talk about a little bit about Joss, and I had a comparison to a documentary. I've been thinking about my point of view that I brought up about it, and I now think it's a mistake, and I'm not well versed enough to actually have the conversation.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I
it's
was...
fraught.
Right, yeah, it's a very tricky topic to navigate, and at the end of the day, we're just two
We're just two
dudes.
schlubs, you know.
And so who
Talking on
gives a
web-
shit about what we think, you know? Like, I barely care what I think.
All right, so Jack,
Yes.
December, you're getting on a plane. I think I edited.
Well,
That's right. I edited the last podcast, which is not the normal way of doing
Did
things.
you?
I did, and I uploaded the last one.
Really? I don't remember. Oh,
Because you
I
were getting
guess,
on a
yeah.
plane. Yeah, you were.
yeah. Well, let's rewind a little bit
It's
further
December.
back. So it's the day before I fly out to Sydney. I get online and I see breaking news: COVID outbreak in the northern beaches area of Sydney. And I'm like, oh, that's a little concerning. And then in the ensuing 12 hours or so, there's lots of talk of closing the borders, rah, rah, rah. And I wake up the next day, unsure of what the hell I'm gonna do. I have to leave from the airport in like 2 or 3 hours. And there's talk of closing the border and all of this stuff. So I'm sitting there going, what do I do? And then in the end, I just thought, screw it. I miss my family. I don't want to spend Christmas alone. So I got on a plane and I flew to Sydney, and the border closed the night I got there. And didn't open again for like 2 months, or just under 2
Yeah, you got a
two
little.
months, I
You
guess.
got a little stuck.
Yeah.
So how was your
A little...
How was your Christmas and New Year's?
It was good, but it was very uneventful because you don't tend to do a lot during a global pandemic. You
No.
know?
No.
Mostly I just hung out with my brother, and we watched a lot of television and movies and stuff. I introduced him to Interview with the Vampire, one of my favorite movies.
Is that one of
which
your
he
favorite
liked.
movies?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
yeah,
maybe we
yeah,
should do
that-
we should do a commentary track on it.
Absolutely, I would love that. That's like somewhere in the top 10 for me. I love it. It's a kind of a slow burn gothic horror. Like it's really cool. Then he introduced me to Apocalypse Now, which I hadn't seen. That movie was fantastic, and also
Did you watch
I
the
get
Redux?
so many references now. I actually don't know.
The unedited did it have a awkward scene with some French colonials at dinner?
I don't think so.
Okay, then
That's
you
not
probably
ringing a
watched
bell.
the theatrical version, which is I think the best version.
Okay. Well, yeah. Yeah, but I get so many references now that I didn't quite know the origins of, especially that I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Especially from Buffy.
Right?
All like,
Right, yeah.
yeah, Restless and
Zen
Snyder. That entire
Xander's
scene.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's Snyder, and I said that to my brother, and he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Remember Xander's dream in Restless?" And he was like, "Kind of." I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah,
But he's,
Joss was doing Heart of Darkness, and specifically Apocalypse Now in that scene.
yeah, it was, but and I just love how like towards the end it kind of becomes a completely different film when Marlon Brando shows up and everything, and it took me a while, and then I heard his voice. I'm like, hang on, that's Marlon Brando. What the hell?
Yeah, so one of the things I love about that scene is that Marlon refused to memorize lines. He was at this stage in his career where he was just kind of
just didn't
he
give a
hated
shit.
acting, but
Okay.
he had so many troubles in his family. It was the only thing he could do to pay the bills.
Right.
And
Okay.
so he on set caused Francis Ford Coppola tons of problems, but he would go on set.
Okay.
They would start the cameras and he would just ramble
Yeah.
for like 15 minutes. And then he'd turn to the camera and say, "That's it. That's all. I'm out of things to say."
That's
And then
kind of not surprising, but so surprising because of how good it is, and it seems
so
very
good.
intentional.
It's so good.
Yeah. My brother also told me that apparently Marlon Brando rocked up to the production out of shape,
Well,
kind of looking like crap, and they were just like, "What the hell are we gonna do?" So they shot him in the dark and everything, and it like, but it worked really well. It's so moody,
Yeah.
like.
It's
I love it.
It's like how the shark didn't work on Jaws, so
Right.
they had to shoot it in cutaways.
Yeah, that's exactly what they did. But it seems very intentional. But no, they just winged it, and
Yeah.
it worked out really well. But I can also see how it has influenced basically every war film that has come after it. Like
Yeah.
every war film.
I think it's the one of the early Paths of Glory. I was thinking of one of the early gritty war as hell non-sensationalized
Right.
versions of war films, but it's definitely not one of the early ones.
No, it's set the standard, I think.
Yeah, well, it's up there certainly.
Yeah.
Anything else? Did you take in anything else? Play any games?
Didn't play a lot of games because I didn't really have access to any gaming. I played. Actually, no. I played Detroit Become Human. I did one playthrough of that, and
Did you finish it?
It's Yes, I did. I did. Yeah. It's from the same studio that did Heavy Rain, and it's sort of in the same vein. Lots of like choices. It's not very action packed. It's like a choose your own adventure kind of.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a choose your own adventure book, but in, I don't know, video form. But it's really engrossing and immersive, and I don't know, man. I really enjoyed it. And by the end of it, I wanted the best for the characters. I felt bad if I screwed up.
For some reason, that game has ended up in my YouTube recommendations, different scenes and different. It's currently riding through. You know how occasionally your algorithm on YouTube is subject to
Right.
weather patterns. Suddenly you get an
Yeah.
influx of neck cracking
Yeah.
videos or whatever. Like right now, I'm dealing with an influx of Detroit Become Human videos.
So have you played it?
I played Heavy Rain. I played the one before that. He's kind of a famous developer. I don't remember his name
Okay.
is. And then he did Beyond
They're
Two
a
Souls.
French studio, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. think-
With Ellen Page or
Elliot Page.
Elliot Page.
Yeah.
Pardon me. And then I think after that was Detroit. I know the story.
It's really good. It's really good. I really enjoyed it. I kind of wish I could do another playthrough because there's so many different endings and whatnot. Oh, we also watched The Good Place. I got
Weird. We
my
started a
brother
run through
into
The
it.
Good Place too.
So it was the second time for me, and I appreciated it so much more. And yeah, my brother loved it. There was he was. Do you remember when we watched the finale, you and I?
Yeah.
And so it's like it's like a 50-minute finale. I cried for like 40 minutes of those 50 minutes. As soon as Jason plays his perfect game, I was like, oh
No.
no,
Oh no.
no. And it was very, very much the same film for my brother, but he's a little more stoic than I am. So,
Yeah, one of the
Yeah.
one of the takeaways of the latest stop on the, we'll say, part of the reason why I don't want to get into the Joss stuff too heavily is because it's just a bummer, man. It's
it
just
is. Yeah.
it sucks
Absolutely.
for everyone involved, except for him, of course, because he deserves the backlash that he gets. But and inevitably, like I've come to accept that I just kind of want to talk about Buffy, but because I do, whenever the next stop on the Joss train occurs, someone's going to ask me for my opinion, or there's never a last time that I'm going to comment on art versus the artist and reclaiming that material. But the thing that I've came to accept without fear, and I'll partly that has to do with my story of the last 2 months, is that it's just time for me to diversify the content on the channel and make some other stuff. So to that end,
Which we've been talking about that for years.
for years now. To that end, I bought What We Owe to Each Other, which is the first book that Chidi gives Eleanor in The Good Place.
I plan on getting it.
And
Have you started reading it yet?
yeah, and I'm gonna start work on. Oh no, I have not started reading it yet. I just finished the short story that Arrival is based on, which is another video that I want to do.
I had no idea it was based on a story.
Pretty interesting. It's more about language and physics than it is about the main character. But that's reading for a video on the channel. Okay. And I realized that
exciting times, man.
Yeah, I mean it's just time, and there's probably there's not going to be a Parks and Recreation episode guide, but there will be a why you should watch Parks and Recreation video for sure.
I can't think of any reason why you would do a Parks and Rec guide.
Yeah,
it's Parks and Rec to me is just good, silly fun. I don't think there's much to it beyond that.
It's a warm blanket in troubling times. It's a show full of good people trying to be good. Yeah, and that's what I feel the same.
And I feel the same about The Office too. Like it's an incredible show and I love it, but
The Office turns
just
into
no
that.
reason to. Yeah. In the beginning, it's a little more mean spirited. I would say.
Yeah, it's heavy on the cynicism in the first couple of seasons, and then they find that warm, sentimental streak later on in the show, and that sort of carries into Parks and Rec, minus the first season, of course.
By the way, can I just quickly say, for anybody watching the video version, I know the lighting here keeps changing. That's because the sun keeps going in and out of clouds, so I can't do much about that. I apologize.
Well, yeah, I don't think anyone's worried about it, buddy. So Detroit Become Human, and you got home when?
That's a great question, Ian.
2 weeks ago?
It's about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's been a bit of a blur. Like I've just taken a lot of time to just settle back in. I got a new bed, Ian. Oh my god, I got a new bed.
I think you were talking about that bed in December when you were leaving.
Yeah. Oh, was I?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I finally got it like a week ago. It is actually it'll be a week tomorrow, and it is marvelous. It is so comfortable. It has it has USB charging ports, and it's got a vibrating massage function, and the back comes up and the foot comes up, and it's a nice bed.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm very happy for you.
Thanks. You don't have to pretend to be. It's okay.
No, you know what the equivalent for me is probably an office chair,
Right.
which I'll tell you about in a
Yeah.
minute. So, yeah, drove. I posted the Buffy video, and then a day or two later, or the Angel video for January, and then a day or two later, got in my '98 Chevy Cavalier and drove 2,000.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds fancy.
It's not 1998 Chevy Cavalier.
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know
it's
cars.
a two-door coupe. It's basically a sports car.
It's technically a Chevy. Well, no, it's literally a Chevy.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, it is a Chevy.
yeah.
No, it was an older woman's car that she had for a number of years and didn't drive. And then it was passed on to my former roommate Nigel, and he sold it to me. And it's a 1998 Chevy Cavalier with 90,000 miles on it, which is
that a
about
lot?
half of what it should be.
Okay.
For a
okay.
car that's almost 25 years old.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah, so driving that
Yeah.
car 2,000 miles cross country was interesting. Drove to New York to visit Lonnie.
Yep.
And towards the end of the visit, my Nigel had a COVID scare with the kids, and told me they were with someone and we don't know, so we need to get them tested. So you probably want to hang out a little bit. And Lonnie and I started talking about, well, you could just stay if it comes to it, because if they were sick, maybe I stay for a month, but then and then we started walking around and sort of saying, well, that would be your office for the month, and this, that, and the other thing. And then we got really excited about it. And then I was like, we're kind of just really excited about me staying, so why don't I just stay? And she was like, okay. And we booked it back to Colorado. We drove 2 days in a van, a 12-passenger van, because of the...
So not the Chevy.
No, not the Chevy. Not the two-door, two-seater Chevy. Apparently U-Hauls are way up because everyone's moving during the apocalypse. And so
That seems like a terrible idea.
yeah,
No offense.
moving trucks rentals are through the roof at the moment. So we rented a van from Enterprise and went back, loaded everything up in 3 days. The girls were fine, but we just decided to do this anyway, and came back here, and I've been unpacking since.
You're still unpacking.
I now live in New York. Well, I mean, I lived in Nigel's place for 2 years, and there were boxes I never unpacked.
Dude, I've been in this apartment almost 11 years, and I'm pretty sure there's still stuff I haven't unpacked.
Yeah, I get the desk unpacked, and I'm like, that's good for now. And then
Yeah, it's like computer, console, whatever you have, then all good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I live in a shoebox, and there isn't a lot of space to put anything. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't anymore. It's interesting though. The move has been wonderful. Obviously, she and I are sort of like, why would we ever have not done this ever? That was so that aspect of it has been great. But New York State,
It's still an adjustment.
The city that we're living in is one of the snowiest cities in the 48 states.
Okay.
So the lower 48 states, lower meaning not minus Alaska and Hawaii.
But you still got a lot of snow in Colorado, though, right?
I did, but Colorado is sunny 300 days a year.
Okay. See, I didn't
So
know
it
that.
snows, you get 10 inches of snow, and the next day the sun comes out and melts everything. You know,
Okay.
the Colorado is notorious for snow because of the Rocky Mountains. So the Rocky Mountains split the state
Yeah.
in half, and there's lots of snow in the mountains. But if you live on the plains, it's a dry, arid
Okay.
state with a lot of sunshine. So yeah, I mean, I've grown up in snow, but here I've rapidly learned what the words lake effect means, because you get this snow from the Great Lakes, this lake effect. I don't know exactly how it works, but there's something about being this close to the Great Lakes causes ridiculous, like snowing golf ball size clusters
Probably
of
got something
snow.
to do with evaporation off the water. I don't know. There's extra moisture in the air.
You said
I
a
don't
word,
know.
and I think I know that word.
But I said words, but I don't know if they apply to anything. They just sound smart.
Well, and I also I mean, I was born in Illinois and lived in Illinois for a while, and these are the kinds of places where a gray cloud rolls over the town in, September and doesn't go away until March or April. It's a little Mordorish compared to the Shire where I'm from. Where it's bright and sunny all of the time. But again, I didn't move here for the weather, so who cares?
Well, yeah. And this is definitely not a boat.
It's not a boat.
Which is a good thing
Yeah.
here. That's a very good thing.
The thing is, the boat was driven by... yeah, no, it's not a boat. This this could not feel more right all the time. The boat was always just like...
Yeah. I've told you privately, though, just how, proud of you I am, because you're taking a chance. It's not a massive risk like a boat, but you're someone who's usually extremely cautious, cautious to a fault. You don't this is so, I don't want to say unlike you, because that sounds bad, but you are, I don't know, you've just grown so much, and you're taking a chance at being happy, and that's amazing, dude.
Well, the odd thing is that I know that I have that reputation, and it's earned, but I feel like ever since I quit my job to do the channel full time, it just doesn't apply anymore.
Yeah. Also, quitting drinking marked a big change.
Next month
you
is
too.
1 year sober, which is crazy.
And next month will mark 2 years since I quit smoking,
Hey!
which is a big deal. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
That's one habit I never thought I would kick. I thought that was the vice that was going to kill me, but hopefully not now.
Yeah, likewise with drinking. A friend of mine, one of my best friends, has come along, and now that I've come this far, and he said at one point when I was 5-6 years ago, I told him, yeah, I'm probably shortening my life, but I didn't want those years anyway. And he told me how much it hurt him to hear me say that that I knew I was shortening my life by the volume of alcohol I was drinking, but I didn't care. And he was like, he wanted to beg me to care, but he knew that if he did, it wouldn't matter, that I had to come to it myself.
My mom often talks about my father, and she tells me how he always used to say, I'm here for a good time, not a long time, and then he died at the age of 32 or something. So yeah, I don't know, man. You have to look after yourself, not just for yourself, but for the people who love you as well.
Yeah, well, someone smarter than me reminded me that a meaningful life can still be a happy one. It's very strange. I've gone through these phases when it comes to meaning and philosophy and all of this, where I kind of reached a point where I, fell ass backwards into wonderful income and insurance and all of that, and perfectly stable. And I the nice thing is that, my tastes being what they are, I got to I have gotten to something that I know is very rare for people in their lives. I got to live for a period of time where if I wanted something, I bought it.
Right.
I wanted.
But that becomes hollow after a while.
I wanted a laptop. Well, it does or it doesn't. If it does, you were hollow beforehand, and I was.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah.
They say the joke that I've mentioned at previous times before is the Tasho joke. They say money can't buy happiness, but you never see any frowns on a wave runner. And that's true, right?
Yeah.
There's a certain variety of happiness that you can purchase. They've done studies in psychology that shows that there's a certain income level. Lack of money causes fear and anxiety and stress.
Yeah.
But there's a certain income level where that goes away, and then
there's been very recent studies into that.
As you get above that further and further, it's diminishing returns. Where so at below a certain level, a certain amount of money makes a huge difference in.
Right. Sorry, that's my phone.
It makes a huge difference in comfort and happiness and all of that. But once I think when I read the study, and this was maybe 10 years ago, it was something like $40,000, which is nothing to sneeze at. But once you get past that point, then it's sort of just, it's no longer, you're comfortable, you're safe, you're secure, you're not worried about where the next meal is going to come from. Go ahead.
Money can't buy happiness, but it certainly can take away a lot of the stress and worry.
Yeah, and I sort of, I was beyond that point at a particularly hollow point in my life, and bought tablets and laptops and that's a nice
air conditioners.
Well, no, buying stuff for other people never gets old. But it was just kind of one of those things where there was nothing more that I really wanted, and I still was unhappy.
Right. Like, you had a good job, but it wasn't fulfilling with you.
And I know that anyone who has never experienced, like, that is not a sob story. Of all the sob stories on earth, that is the least sobbiest story that exists. I know that anyone who has never crossed that, we'll say, $40,000 threshold and is regularly has to worry about where to eat, how to eat, and how to pay the bills and how to make ends meet and all of that, hears that story and is like, oh, boo-hoo, poor you. And I get it, and I'm right there with you. Nonetheless, that was my life, and that was kind of where I was at. And I think that was early 30s. That was when I sort of mentally started to wonder if, like, pursuing like, rather than pursuing happiness, which unguided creates a life of comfort by default, because comfort can be purchased, comfort can be secured, comfort can be gotten, but comfort is not necessarily meaningful. I started wondering about pursuing things that were meaningful, and meaningful sometimes involves suffering and struggling and being uncomfortable and all, like passions are the things that you're willing to suffer for. To me, is one of the measures of passion. And so I went through a period where I sort of measured the qualitative investment of my time by that. Meaning only. and well, happiness, schmappiness. And someone came along and told me that might be dumb. That you can have both a happy and meaningful life, that they're not mutually exclusive, but yes, a balance between the two of them. And so in the last year or two, I've kind of been going, oh, okay.
You are happier now than I've ever seen you, and it's amazing to see.
Nice and relaxed.
Yeah.
Comparatively. So ordinarily that Joss stuff comes along, and you've been like, what was so funny was the news about Charisma Carpenter posted on Twitter saying that she had been treated abusively by Joss Whedon for before the show, or rather before season 4. But the way he handled her pregnancy was abusive and terrible, and in kind of an unprecedented thing. A large portion of the cast and some of the crew, including the writers, came out and backed her. Amber Benson said Buffy was a toxic environment. All of that. Now, this is not the first stop along that train. There was Kai Cole. And
there have been rumors for years now.
Yeah, his wife, her letter was sort of the informal beginning of this. And then it was Ray Fisher from Justice League. I mean, there's been one thing after another. And as someone who quit his job and tethered his income to this man's work, not to this man, to this man's work. But
also the work of many other people.
The work of many other people. That's incredibly important to stress. I was always a little ashamed because whenever the news stories came up, it's kind of strange being tied to someone like that for your existence. So as their fate goes, you feel like your fate is tied to it, which I found had a I don't want to react to news like that with self-interest. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
But
I mean, it's understandable.
It's totally understandable, and it's human, and I don't like it's not a strike against my. But I remember I quit my job I quit LinkedIn to do this in September 2.5 years ago, and one of those news stories came along right around that time, and it caused me so much fear and anxiety that I had like a breakdown. During that. I mean, I was having one during that period anyway. What did I just do to my life? But I really didn't like that. I want those the revelations and the revealing and people telling their truths and all of that to be something that for me to be a pure good, to one where it's like good, and not one that has that and is coupled with, well, what if Patreon crashes and people don't want to talk about Buffy anymore, or something like that. So as this has gone along, that has sort of happened. But I've noticed this time, I'm like, if we have to move into something else, we have to move into something else. Like, it did not shake me up this time.
Which I was very worried about.
Yeah, well, that was the thing, is several of my friends read the Joss news and called me to say, are you okay? And I was like, I don't think that's the way it's supposed to go. A woman comes out about the abuse she suffered in her life, and they call me to make sure I'm okay. I get it, and I love everyone who did that, including you. But
well, my immediate thought too was I have to try to stop you from burning everything to the ground, because There have been a few moments where
sure.
I'm like, Ian, step away from the
Yeah.
new.
Well, I mean, not
football,
specifically
please.
because of Joss, but because of
No, just
it's a strange,
other
it's a strange thing.
stresses.
This having talked about Buffy and Angel only for 2 years. Other was Nerd Chipper, which I'm very proud of and want to get back to. But
And you've done other the things too. Like we got the Patreon book bonuses, which are fun.
But it was almost more because of that, how that happened, that I was like, okay, it's really time to diversify the content on the channel, because I can't have my friends,
no,
calling
like
me.
I said earlier, we've been talking about it for years, but now it's time to actually make something concrete out.
I have
Buffy and Angel are not going anywhere until we're done with it, but
I mean, I'm gonna keep the current guide I'm working on is Listening to Fear. Script is almost done, and strangely, I think I managed to find something interesting to talk about with Listening to Fear.
Cool, yeah.
I had a little bit of a click moment with that. That I haven't heard anyone talk about before. Plus, some cathartic additions I'm hoping to add to the whole thing. And then we do the, hopefully that's this week, and then we do the patron hangout on Saturday. We're talking about family,
yes.
And then, we'll see. But I completely turned my life upside down. Destabilized. I'm a creature of habit. Distraction addict. Lots of procrastination and all of that. And last year we put out a video a month, and then did the patron hangouts every other week. Patron hangouts are now back, and I'm hoping with Listening to Fear to get the episode guides back to once a month. And then build on top of that with, but it will always be on top of the episode guides, rather than anything else. But there's a whole bunch of stuff that I have ideas for, including a short film series in the vein of Nerd Chipper with more stories but in a structure and a format that I've had in mind for a while. So I live in New York now with my lady friend.
Ooh. Sorry.
She's my girlfriend.
Your partner.
I don't think I've said that. Have I said that on the air? I've said girlfriend. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Still feels weird.
Very sheepish about it, but
it still feels weird. Yeah. Like, it's easy for me to say to her and to you, but to say on the podcast or any sort of public space is a strange kind of thing. Not only for because I like to keep my at least a part of my life private, but because being 41 and saying girlfriend feels strange.
See, I've got a
she
thing
really
with
struggles with boyfriend. It's adorable.
I prefer the word, girlfriend, boyfriend. I have this irrational, it's totally irrational, but I have this irrational hatred of people using the word partner. I'm like, you're in a relationship, you're not opening a law firm, okay?
Yeah.
Like, you're not I don't know, I just hate the word partner, and I know a lot of people prefer that term, and that's fine. I just don't like it.
When she was struggling with the other thing too is I have a particular community association with that LGBTQ. So I don't feel like it has. I don't know. When we were trying different words on, she said, "Well, what about partner?" Because she really didn't want to say boyfriend, and I was like, "I'm not sure. I feel like that. We sure, but I don't. I feel like that is a community word for the LGBT community, for us. But I don't know how that works. How the hell would I like? What do I know?
I just think, like, just use whatever word you want or feel comfortable with. That's how I see it.
Jack, you're my partner.
You're my hetero life pop partner. I've been saying that for years. My hetero life pop partner.
Come on.
Which I totally stole from Jay and Silent Bob, but I don't care. I'm using it. Ian, I love you very much.
Mostly hetero life partner.
Mostly,
Right,
mostly.
yeah.
I mean,
There we go.
if anybody could make me reconsider, it's definitely you. Definitely.
I watched a movie you have to watch. It's called The Kid Detective.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was recommended on. Oh God, they're Jay and Mike.
Red Letter Media.
Red Letter Media. Thank you. They did
Yeah.
a spot recommending it on Red Letter Media, and we watched it the other day.
Mm-hmm.
It is about a kid detective who grew up, and what life is like for a kid detective in his 30s.
Oh, okay.
And it was wonderful. I mean, I love this kind of movie where I've given you the whole setup. It's noir combined with sort of the deeply saturated child detective genre. It is sometimes light and funny and sometimes very dark.
Okay.
But it does a
I
good.
dig that.
It doesn't so much mix them as swap between them at times,
okay,
and
yeah.
but I think does a very good job of pulling it off. It is one of the best edited movies. This is a weird thing to say that I've seen in a while. There were audio edits in the movie
Okay.
that were so good. Lonnie and I turned to each other and went, the way they cut audio into the next scene, or the way they may cut musical bits to create an effect or a purpose in the was so striking. She and I turned to each other several times. We're like, that was really good.
I just had a very similar experience with have you seen Baby Driver?
Yeah.
The way that film uses music and Foley was just incredible. My brother showed me, and I'm like, halfway through, I turned to him, and I'm like, holy shit!
Well,
I've never seen anything like this.
That's
It was incredible.
Stephen
I loved it.
Wright, isn't it?
Okay. I don't know.
He
to be
directed
honest, I
Hot
forget.
Fuzz and
Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright. Excuse
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Hey,
You're right. Yeah. It was.
He's notorious for that for sure.
Honestly, it was the best action film I've seen in a long time, simply because of how unique it was. Its use of sound is something I've never seen before, and I loved it.
Yeah,
It was
Edgar Wright's
incredible.
style becomes a style.
Oh yeah. He's kind of
where
like
it's-
like Tarantino or
Yeah.
Fincher or whatever. There's a very recognizable style. His is very punchy. His stuff is very punchy.
This felt seamless within the film and the story itself, but it was still really good. So, and the other thing too is I finished Arkham Knight.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
finally.
Which was a gift that you gave me.
Yes,
So I want to say
yeah.
thank you. I've now played.
okay.
I finished in the last year or two Arkham Asylum, Arkham Origins, and Arkham Knight.
Nice. You went through the whole series, and I think that's it.
That's it.
Or is there another one?
That's
Yeah.
it. Arkham Knight
done.
is good.
Yeah. I played a good chunk of it.
Good. The whole series is great, but
Yeah.
but within the range of those three games, I would put it at number 2 behind Arkham Asylum. It is by
okay.
far
See.
the best looking. The story is the most ambitious, but there are certain aspects of the game I think that hold it back from the perfect experience that Asylum was.
Okay. See, but Asylum is a little more linear though, right? Like you're stuck in the
Well,
asylum.
it's
and
room
like-
to room to room, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, whereas like Night had this sort of free roam aspect to it, which I really enjoyed.
It does, but it has that Assassin's Creed-y copy-paste the same mission 10 times to accomplish to fill out the city.
Yeah, but yes, but I don't think it's like Assassin's Creed 1 bad, if you know what I mean.
No,
It's
no, I
not-
mean even Assassin's Creed got better at creating variety within the copy-paste.
Right.
but still, I feel those seams when I play the game, and the vehicle stuff. Batman's
Yeah,
the
the
Batmobile can turn
Batmobile.
into a tank in this one, and
I
the sections become not fun.
Yeah, and I find the Batmobile itself and the tank mode quite hard to control.
You know what?
There's something
I
about
was
it
thinking
that's
of you while I
clunky.
was playing it. The Batmobile handles like Marcus Phoenix from Gears of War 1.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. And speaking of Gears of War,
Yeah, we started
we've
Gears
started
4,
yeah,
which is shockingly not crap.
night and day, man, night and freaking day. Like Gears 1, I will never touch again.
Yeah, no,
I
there's
had
no reason
fun
to.
playing it with you, but I didn't have fun playing
Exactly.
the game. Like,
So we both have the Xbox Pass, and the full series
Mm-hmm.
is on. Gears 1, 4, and 5 is on the PC, and then 1 through 5 is
Mm-hmm.
on the Xbox. And I just like, you and I like having a date night.
yeah.
We like having a date from time to time. And
So our bromance can grow and
it's just
we nurture it.
it's
and-
just a romance.
yeah, it's just a romance at this point. It really is.
You and I flirt more than Lonnie and I do. It's just a romance.
And she says that too. She's always like, I love it when the boyfriends are flirting.
Yeah, so we played through Gears 1, and it's aging poorly.
Oh, and just
It's from
the
a particular
story's
time.
boring.
It's from a
I hate the
particular time
characters.
period of
Yeah.
like heavy brotacular, dude broy, space marine kinds
Like
of.
they're just giant, like muscly dudes that they look like giant turds.
Yeah.
Like they're just like big and bulky and like wrinkly, like because they're so bulky. It's I don't know, it's
Yeah,
weird.
Space Turds, the video game.
Yes.
Turd Marines. The I love Lonnie and I got into a conversation about the advertising for that series, the commercials, and how they're art and not like the games
Beautiful.
at all.
Like Gears 1 used Mad World
Yeah.
in its advertising, and that is so like
My favorite one
the
is
complete
for
opposite.
Gears 2. I have a rendezvous with death at some disputed barricade. It may be he should take my hand and lead me into his dark land. Well, Marcus Phoenix is carrying a big, space monster or dirt monster down and having it shot in the face. But it's a testament to how editing can take a game like that and elevate it with a combination of music, and editing is magic.
But it's borderline false advertisement. Like
Well, there's a I think that you can. Cliff Bleszinski is was the game lead and designer on that, and those ads were so infamous that I kind of feel like he started trying to make the games have the same kind of emotion and drama that the advertisements did. So in the first game, it's just a brotacular shoot 'em up.
yeah.
By the third game, Santiago, the co-op buddy, his wife dies in a horrible scene in the second one,
Okay.
and she's been tortured for the course of the entire game. So they fridge her to motivate him, and then the third game, you didn't get to play this, and spoilers for anyone who cares to play through Gears of War 1, 2, and 3. In the third game, Santiago commits suicide to save the team in a very dramatic scene where Marcus Phoenix, is it Dom Santiago? I think it's Dominic Santiago. And he's got a beard on that turd body, like they paste a beard onto his face. And he drives a truck and commits suicide for some reason. I don't think I finished the third game.
So that seems a little more in line with the advertising. Like,
It is, but it's drama done poorly. They
Okay.
were scenes I laughed at because they were in such bad taste and so dissonant with the actual content of the game, where you're throwing
Right.
grenades and your guys are going, "Oh yeah," or running up to people with a chainsaw blade and cutting guys in
Yeah.
half. And then we have this emotional scene with Dom's wife at the end of the game. It was so.
That's the thing, man. Like with Gears One, I wouldn't put Mad World in the advertisement. I'd put like a Slayer song or a Metallica song or
Yeah.
something. That's much more in line with how the game feels.
More
you know?
human than the human.
It's just it's I don't know, like like seeing those ads, if I had played it back in the day, I would have been like, what the hell, this is not what I was promised
Yeah.
with the ad. But that's the thing, the ad doesn't really promise you anything.
No, it doesn't.
So-
And you can tell
Yeah.
it's never in-game footage. It's all cinematic stuff.
Yeah.
But none of the things you see in the ads are actually in any of the games. So the sequences where
Right.
he jumps through windows or whatever
Right.
are not in the actual game. But yeah, and I don't know why Gears was famous. So the Xbox had Gears and Halo, and the
Yeah.
PlayStation had Resistance, and Uncharted. I think Uncharted came
Right.
along a little bit later. Resistance, and I'm forgetting one. Resistance, and someone's shouting at me through their speakers. I can't hear you.
There's a lot though. There's
Well,
like, I don't know.
the big exclusive that were draws to those consoles,
Oh,
and
exclusive,
they just kind of fell. God of War was another one for the PlayStation.
yeah, that's PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah, and then I'm not sure why Gears was a big attractor, and eventually it just kind of fell off. But anyway, we started Gears 4. So Gears 4 is, if I remember correctly, Epic made Gears 1 through 3, and then Microsoft bought the rights to
Right.
Gears itself, and a different studio made Gears 4. And you and I just were having a date night,
Yeah.
and we were like, hey, you want to play Gears? Okay.
Yeah.
And so we started Gears 4, and what happened?
Yeah. I mean, immediately I'm like, this is so much better. This is prettier. It handles better. Like, and I actually care about what's going on.
Well, and in fairness, Gears 1 was a almost 20-year-old game.
It's very emblematic of that time.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah, Gears 4 was 2016, I think.
Yeah, but it's just like, even since that's a thing, like the movement, like the way your character moves is like, it's not all that different from Gears 1, but it feels so much more fluid and less clunky.
Yeah. Yeah, and the interesting thing is,
Yeah.
I find apocalypse fiction really interesting. I like apocalypse fiction. I think it's interesting. The problem with apocalypse video games is, if you make your apocalypse a Fallout style, dusty,
Very
brown,
Fallout.
gray apocalypse, it's not like a 2-hour movie or a book where all of that is in your head. You have to spend 8 to 20 hours looking at grays and dirt and dust and all of that. And the first 3 Gears games are all dust, and just not fun places to spend time
Yeah.
for that protracted period of time. And this game is very saturated and colorful.
So pretty and bright, and it's a pleasure to look at. Like, every level, like, oh, it's so pretty.
Yeah, yeah. They kind of went to the Naughty Dog school of character work, where by Uncharted 2 or 3, you could tell the actors were just in their rubber mocap suits, walking around vamping or improving off each other. And then they kept some of that and added it to sort of give the game an organic feel and organic dialogue. And it definitely feels, the lead character in Gears 4 feels like, discount Nathan Drake to me. Who
He
and
reminds me of Riley Finn.
Nathan Drake. Well, yeah, and Riley Finn is discount Steve Rogers, and Nathan Drake is
Yeah.
discount Indiana Jones. So it's like several layers of refined sugar to get to that character. But I think
Absolutely.
it's just so refreshing that it's not dude brotacular anymore.
No. Because that's the thing I hated the most about Gears 1. Because I just, like, I just couldn't wait to finish it so I could just be done with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it was a weird kind of fun where it's nice to spend time together and be doing a thing. But good lord.
And we got stuck on the final boss fight for like an hour.
yeah, that was terrible and glitched.
Yeah.
So it may just be that Gears 4 is not Gears 1, combined with all of the refinements of time.
Right. I am having fun with it, but it's one of those ones where I'm not sure if I'd be playing it without you, though.
Yeah,
like,
really good co-op campaigns are so rare that's
Right.
why we're willing to play a Gears 1. You've got Halo, you've got Gears, and then they become a little bit more
the
few and
bar
far
is
between.
very low.
Right. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it enough that I would like to play a little bit more after we're done recording.
Me too. Absolutely. You've got me in the mood.
So we're right around an hour of recording. We can go ahead and get to the fanfic reading, I figure. What I apologize, everyone. We didn't. We're getting back into the swing of things. Okay.
This is
the
I
get
can
back
tell
into
this
the
is
swing.
going to be a bit of a messy. This isn't going to be as refined as we usually do, as polished.
Yes, and if you can call what we do normally refined.
I mean, by our standards,
yes.
but which is very, very low.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're completely unscripted. We're just riffing here,
Yeah.
and we normally have like a basic script to go off, which somebody threw out like 5 minutes
yes.
before we started.
Someone is impulsive now.
It's okay,
and I like
buddy,
it.
I still love you.
So we're gonna get to the fanfic reading, and then after that we'll come back and just remind everyone what's going on this week, and that'll be it. So let's get to the fanfic reading right now. Here is Gone by Terri Botta, Chapter 40. Spike ran. He ran until he thought his injured leg had surely broken in a dozen places, and all the wounds that had half healed from Glory's tortures had reopened and spilled his blood all over himself in the street. But no pain he endured could match the blinding panic that seared through him now, the all-encompassing terror that drove him past the point of all his endurance. The Knights of Byzantium were gone. All of them. What poor sods were still left alive were surely being held as food for the hell bitch. The rest were dead, slaughtered like cattle and left to rot on the killing field. The apartment complex was in flames, the fire casting blood-red shadows on the surrounding buildings and flooding the nearby park with toxic black smoke. Smoke he used as cover in which to make his desperate escape. The plan seemed simple enough. When Glory was weakened, she either found a victim to brainsuck or lost her ability to hold Ben back. All they theoretically had to do was wait until Glory morphed into Ben, and then kill him while he was vulnerable. It was a very simple plan. Because vampires were immune to the forgetting spell that Glory Ben cast, that made humans forget that they had seen one switch to the other, Spike would watch for Ben and alert the Knights of his whereabouts. The Knights would then attack and kill Ben, striking too quickly for any of Glory's minions to stop them. All of this had been decided after he had guided them into the apartment and showed them the small room with Ben's meager possessions. Neither the intern nor the god was home, but a handful of minions were there to guard the apartment. They tried valiantly to fulfill their duty, but the knights overpowered them and barged into the living room. They didn't kill them, and when Spike asked why they didn't just slit the minions' throats, he was told that Glory would simply reanimate them after they were killed. When the claims were substantiated, the knights went to lie in wait while he scouted for Glory or Ben. It wasn't long before he spotted the intern's Nancy Boy car pulling into the apartment complex's parking lot, and he alerted the troops. How was he to know the poof had guts? The little wanker actually fought back. Glory's crusty minions actually came to his defense. Things still would have been all right. But then the hell bitch came out to play, and it all broke loose. He'd known that the bitch was strong, but nothing could have prepared him for the ferocity of her attack, or the carnage that she left in her wake. The rout was an upset that even the great Angelus would have appreciated in his days of soulless killing and mayhem. He barely escaped with his own life, using the explosions from erupting gas lines to cover his fleeing form. And now he was running. Running for the magic box, because he knew it was just a matter of time before Glory discovered that Dawn was the key. He flew through the doors of the magic box where he knew the others would be if Giles had found his letter. He didn't even bother to slow down as he bolted into the store and was met with a fist to the face. He reeled back from the impact, collapsing on the hard floor and looking dazedly up at the supremely pissed-off watcher who was rubbing his fist. "You stupid idiot! You traitorous son of a bitch!" Giles accused. There's no time. You gotta get out of here. The knights are gone and Glory's gonna come gunning for you. You gotta rally the troops and bugger out now," he countered angrily. "What have you done?" the watcher roared. "What you wouldn't do." "I found someone who'd help me, but it all went wrong. Now she's going to come for you," he yelled back, struggling to his feet in spite of his wounds. "What were you thinking? You've betrayed us all." "What the hell's going on here?" Buffy demanded, coming into his field of view. She was dangerously angry, and he feared for his own life again. "Buffy, let me explain." "You irresponsible idiot!" "Giles," Buffy warned, then turned to him, standing near to him, arms crossed. "You, talk." By now, the others had gathered around, staring at him with concerned and worried expressions on their faces. He scrambled to think of a proper explanation that wouldn't give everything away. "Right, it's like this. When Glory was playing Peel the Vamp, I found out something real interesting about our hell bitch. Way I figure it works like this. When Glory was kicked out of Hell Central, the only way that could do it was to tie her to a human form. Mortal form. Now this form lives as long as the hell bitch does, but it's not invulnerable. While she had me, I found out that the mortal form is our favorite intern, Ben," he explained in a rush. Ben? Ben from the hospital?" Buffy asked. He swallowed and nodded. "The very same. So I did some digging, and I confirmed that if you get rid of Ben, you get rid of Glory." Kill the man and the god dies," Tara commented, her eyes opening wide. He nodded at her, trying to catch his breath. "Exactly. Well, as soon as I knew for sure, I told Giles." Buffy rounded on her watcher. "Wait a minute, you knew about this?" Giles took off his glasses and cleaned them vigorously. "Yes, Spike told me what he had discovered." "You're telling me that Spike told you about a major weakness in Glory and you didn't tell me?" "Buffy, I was exploring other options." "Other options?" she repeated incredulously. "We wanted to avoid killing an innocent, if at all possible," Giles explained. "He's no innocent. Tonight proved it for me. He knows damn well what's going on," he spat back. "So what happened?" Buffy ordered. "What did you do?" He cringed under her hard stare, but was determined to hold his ground. "Well, Watcher wouldn't help me. I couldn't do it myself because of this damn chip they shoved in my brain, so I went to someone who would. Looked up our resident idiots in armor." "The Knights of Byzantium," Willow breathed. "Yeah, them. Anyways, I figured if they were willing to kill a little girl in order to stop Glory, they'd be willing to kill an intern. Trade for killing Glory herself." "Go on," Buffy prompted. "First off, I'd like to say that the Knights already knew Dawn was the key. I didn't tell them. Turns out they came and got the bloke Glory brains sucked, but he was at the hospital the night Dawn went into the loony ward. He saw her, recognized that she was the key, must have let it slip when his buddies came to get him, he admitted. So they were already planning a full frontal attack on you in order to get Dawn. I just made him go after a bigger fish. Buffy nodded that she understood, and he continued, his eyes never leaving her face. Well, I was right. And as soon as I proved to them I was telling the truth, they were more than willing to go after the hell bitch herself and leave Dawn alone. How nice of them, Buffy commented dryly. But something went wrong, didn't it? You said we were all in danger, Anya interrupted. Yeah, something went wrong, all right. When we attacked Ben, the Blighter fought back, and he traded places with his worse half, and she blew us all to Kingdom Come. When I got out of there, the whole block was on fire, and what was left of the Knights was being rounded up by Glory's minions. I slipped out in the smoke and came running here. Now Glory knows that her secret is out, and she's going to come gunning for us. She's also got the knight that's all loony. My guess is he'll tell her about Dawn pretty soon. We got to get out of town. He nodded. Already planned for that. Nicked a Winnebago and stashed it behind the shop. So that's where that ugly camper came from. I was going to call the police and have it towed, Anya admitted. It's a good thing you didn't. It's your lot's ticket out of here. Grab your toothbrushes and a pair of clean knickers and bugger out. You stole a camper? Buffy asked dubiously. What? It's big enough to tote the whole Scooby crew. Could have nicked a Porsche. Thought you wouldn't want to leave anyone behind. Buffy pursed her lips thoughtfully. She had that Slayer look on her face, the one that made all the tough decisions and executed all the difficult plans. Spike was glad to see it, because it meant that Buffy was already figuring out what they were going to do next. Okay, Glory knows where Dawn and I live, so we can't go home. Wills, you and Tara go back to your place and get supplies. Xander, Anya, you do the same. Giles, we have to talk, but not right now. I need you to gather what you think we'll need. Move, people. We have a half hour. Let's get going, the Slayer commanded. The group took their marching orders and scattered, knowing that Buffy had everything under control. Spike gratefully sank down onto the bench at the reading table. He was still in considerable pain and was glad for the rest. Too much had happened in too short a time, and he was nearing his breaking point. He let his head fall to the table and closed his eyes, allowing himself a brief respite from the chaos that sought to consume him. He dozed off when the aroma of warmed blood roused him, and he lifted his head to see Tara placing a tall container of heated blood in front of his nose. Her eyes were hooded and full of concern. Back so soon? He asked. I never left. Will is getting the things we need. I wanted to stay here and make sure you were all right. He gave her his trademark smirk and winked at her as he gratefully accepted the food. His expression fell, however, when he tried to sit up, and pain lanced through his body, making him gasp. Tara pushed the blood towards him. Eat. There are herbs in it that will help with the pain. He nodded and reached for the container, raising it to his lips. His hand only shook a little bit as he drank it down. Thanks, love, he sighed when he was finished. That is what you meant, wasn't it, about not betraying us? Tara said softly. He lowered his eyes and refused to answer. Why didn't you tell us? I did. Told the Watcher, he replied. Why didn't you tell Buffy? Same reason Giles didn't want to tell her. Ben's human. Didn't want her to have to make that choice. Yes, well, it was my choice to make, Buffy's angry voice interrupted as she slammed the Gruthlak battle axe down on the table. A sullen Dawn was behind her. What else are you keeping from me? She demanded, her expression brooking no argument. He swallowed heavily and tried to quell the fear in his heart. There's a demon I killed, a nasty bloke I heard served the hell bitch. Lopped off his head with that very axe. And I might have left something important at his place. I heard about it later. A wooden box he kept scrolls in, but never got a chance to go back and look for it. Where is it and what am I looking for? Buffy ordered. Buffy, no, you can't, Dawn cried. Buffy looked at her sister, then back to him. Tell me what I need to know. Buffy Buffy looked back at her sister. If what Spike says is true, then this guy may have something that can help us. I'm the only one not doing anything else. I can go and be back before the others get here. Glory didn't know where this demon lived, did she? I don't know. I was only there once. I doubt she'll go looking for him, though. He was a small fish, he admitted. So it's probably safe then. Where am I going? Reluctantly, he told her where Doc had lived and described the small wooden chest he and Xander had taken from the apartment in a previous timeline. He really hadn't wanted to tell her, but he feared her wrath if he simply refused, and he simply wasn't up to dealing with her anger. She left in a swirl of blonde and black leather, and he watched her go with some amusement. It seemed ironic that he would be in her place this time around. Since he had been trying to keep the Scoobies one step ahead of Glory, Buffy had only had to fight the Hellbitch twice, unlike the 4 or 5 other times she'd gotten beaten by Glory the last time around. Nor had she had to face her best friend's lover, getting brains sucked, and then have to save Willow from becoming toast herself. While this Buffy was tired and scared, she wasn't beaten. Last time, Buffy had been completely drained, exhausted, and soul-weary. It had led her to catatonia when Dawn was finally taken, and broken her in a way he never ever wanted to see her broken again. That Buffy had been ready to give up, ready to die just to end the pain. He remembered what Buffy had told him about her conversation with Giles on the night of her death, how she was tired, didn't want to live in a world that kept demanding that she sacrifice the one she loved. That Buffy had been a shadow of her former self. This Buffy remained undefeated. It suddenly struck him exactly how much he had been able to change things this time around, even though all the major events remained the same. He had been able to spare Buffy a great deal of pain by avoiding certain situations or by taking the pain on himself. So far, if anyone had been defeated by Glory, it was him. But not even that could be said, because he was still unliving and in full control of all his faculties. Therefore, while he hadn't been able to alter the timeline significantly, he had effected a staggering amount of change with his efforts. The realization gave him the first glimmers of hope he'd felt in a long time. If they ran, no knights were around to waylay them. Giles would never be skewered. Ben would never be called to treat him, and that meant Ben wouldn't do his Glory switcheroo and grab Dawn. All they had to do was hold out for a few more days, and Glory would lose her window of opportunity to use Dawn to open the portals. They could do that, couldn't they? What are you thinking? Tara questioned him, drawing him out of his thoughts. He looked at her and gave her a smile. I'm thinking this plan might just work. Both she and Dawn blinked at him. Well, that's good, Tara said. His smile broadened. Yeah, it is. Did you really go to those knights to try and save me? Dawn asked. Yeah, Niblet, I did. She slapped him across the face. Hard. You stupid idiot! You could have gotten yourself killed, she screamed. He rubbed his stinging cheek. Pint-sized packs a punch. Ow. Dawn, Tara reprimanded. You put yourself in terrible danger for me. What if they hadn't believed you? What if Gloria had gotten you again and killed you this time? What would we have done without you? Dawn continued, starting to cry. No, Niblet, I'm sorry, he said, softening and reaching for her. He'd been through too much and suffered too much pain to care what the others would think. Dawn was precious to him, as precious as Buffy, and she needed him to hold her and prove to her that he was still with her. She fell into his arms, aggravating all of his injuries, but he didn't care. She was safe in his embrace, and he planned to keep it that way. All they had to do was wait until Buffy and the others got back, and then they would run and hide out until Glory's time was up. Finally, a simple plan that would work where all the others had failed. Neither he nor Tara were prepared for the alarms that suddenly went off, or the explosion that blew in the storefront windows. They barely had time to register that the advance warning spell Willow and Terra had placed around the magic box had sounded off before the blast knocked them back. Terra screamed as she was thrown to the ground by the pressure wave and was knocked unconscious. Spike, still holding Dawn, was flipped upside down and slammed by the heavy table as it blew over and knocked him into the bookcases. Dawn was underneath him, protected from the brunt of the impact by his body, but they were both trapped by the broken table and the bookcases that had collapsed on top of them. "Spike!" he heard Dawn cry. "Dawn!" he answered, struggling to use his back to dislodge the debris on top of them so he could see if she was injured. Suddenly, the weight on his body was lifted away, and he looked up to see Glory looming over them. "Well, well, well, looky here. It's my key in a neat little kitty-sized package." He struggled to rise, to keep Dawn out of her clutches, but the Hell God simply grabbed him and threw him like a rag doll. He sailed clear across the store and hit the glass counter, shattering it under his weight. "No," he thought as he watched Glory drag Dawn from the rubble. "No, please God, no. You and me are gonna have so much fun," Glory said with a sadistic smile as she pulled the weeping, struggling teen to his face. "Spike! Spike!" Dawn screamed. He couldn't move, shards of glass stabbing him along his back. His leg was bent at an odd angle, the fingers of his left hand mangled and broken. Still, he used his right hand, grasping at the floor even though it was littered with glass that sliced into his palm, and tried to drag himself from the wreckage to get Dawn. Dawn. Must save Dawn. Spike. Dawn. "To kitties, see you all in hell," Glory taunted as she forced Dawn from the shop. He reached out one helpless hand at the empty air where Dawn had been, the image of her terrified, pleading face burning itself into his shocked mind. Dawn? She took Dawn? Glory has Dawn. I failed. I failed. I failed. Blackness clouded his vision, crushing him under its weight. He couldn't take it, not after all he had been through, all he had done to try and protect Dawn and Buffy. His mind shattered into a million pieces and scattered like a supernova exploding out into the universe. Then he saw and felt no more. Jack.
Ian.
Jack. We did it!
First podcast of 2021. It feels good to be back. Oh, and
so good.
Just quickly, I forgot to mention this at the beginning, but I have a new mic. My brother said to me, "Well, what would you like for Christmas?" I'm like, "Well, I need a new mic," so he got me a new mic. I remember last year a couple of people said that my mic levels were too low. That's my bad. I didn't boost them enough. I think part of the problem I was having was there was such a stark difference in quality between our two mics. It was hard to sort of level them out. So this new mic, I've done some testing and playing around. It should be better. But if there's issues with this particular, well, if there's some kinks, I'll work them out before next week.
Well, I mean, there's always kinks. It's us. There's always going to be kinks.
Yes.
We'll figure it out.
Get it? Kinks.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I wandered into that one. Jack, what are you up to this week?
That is a great question.
It's Monday
Ian, what
there.
am I up to? I see. This is the problem of not having a script.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I heard you're
don't
doing some work for a mutual friend of ours.
Yes. Doing some work.
How are you passing
I don't know if
the
I can really-
apocalypse?
Yeah, I don't know if I can go into specifics just yet.
Okay.
But once it's all worked out, I will let everybody know. I'm sure there'll be some kind of announcement. But yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm taking on a new role of sorts, shall we say?
Are you playing anything
I'm gonna
right now?
Sorry, what?
Are you playing anything right now?
I need to get back into Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I finished the prologue, which was amazing.
You have the machine a machine that'll actually run it.
Yeah. I mean, not very well, though, although they did do an optimization patch, but I haven't seen what it's done yet.
Wow.
But yeah, honestly, I hadn't had a lot of issues. It's the people on console that have had the worst time with it. Like, the worst thing that I encountered was there's this bit where you have to like walk through this doorway, and there's this cop NPC standing in front of it that like shoves you every time you go to walk into it, which was a glitch. But yeah, I played the prologue, and there's a character. He's kind of like your partner. His name's Jackie Wells, and at first I hated him, but by the end I loved him.
Nice.
I love Jackie Wells. So yeah, I need to get back into that. I don't know why I haven't. I've just been in a bit of a I don't know if funk is the right word. I've just been settling in, I guess, to being home. But I also need to, like, we're gonna get back into the Patreon readings and just lots of different video related stuff.
Yeah.
But what about you, sir? What are you up to?
This week I am getting Listening to Fear delivered, up, ready, polished, finished, finito.
Wonderful.
Those. It's funny, those videos, unlike Fool for Love or The Gift or Buffy versus Dracula or any of the tentpole ones, are almost more difficult, where it's a connective tissue kind of episode where it's kind of, the point is to set up stuff that's coming along down the line. So providing any kind of commentary that's worth people clicking on and listening to, which is important to me. I don't know. It's sometimes a struggle. And I could lean into red arrows and all of that.
That's always a nice go to.
Yeah, but I didn't. There are no nipples in this one, so
Here's the thing.
What am I gonna do? Put a red arrow on something normal? Come on now.
You don't know how to fail. You knock it out of the park every time.
Well,
look, not every video is going to be amends. Like that's not gonna happen. But like I always say, man, beer bad.
Well,
you found something good to say about beer bad.
Lonnie and I were talking. I said I think I found some stuff to talk about with suffering and despair, which is kind of my wheelhouse of conversation.
Yeah.
So,
There is nothing like grief.
There's nothing like grief. So, going to be working on that. I have been trying to break my Conan addiction, my Conan Exiles addiction.
Why though? That's such a fun game.
It is, but I play that or other things, but I don't play both. Is the thing about those kinds of games. You know, the Dota 2s, the Conan Exiles.
That's why I said I need to get back into Cyberpunk, because I've just gone back into playing Overwatch over and over and over again.
Just uninstall it.
I just... No, I don't want to uninstall it. I'm not crazy. No, I like Overwatch. I am not uninstall. How dare you? How dare you say... I can stop whenever I want.
You can still like it, but not have it on the computer. That's all I'm saying. Overwatch is great, but I'm not allowed to have it. This is why I can't have nice things. Overwatch is why I can't have nice things.
You know, I need to... I start playing a game...
Look at how conflicted and uncomfortable I made just trying to take your...
The cognitive dissonance is immense.
Yeah, trying to take your Overwatch away, and you're all itchy and...
The thing is, that game pisses me off so much.
Yeah, I don't like games that make me rage, but I'm addicted to.
It's maddening.
Yeah.
But like, I've said before that I struggle for some reason. It's very rare I actually finish a game. Like Arkham Knight, I played a lot, but I didn't finish it. And so I just need to stop spending like $80 on the game and not finishing it. What the hell?
Yeah.
Okay,
that's why I did the spreadsheet. Is now whenever a new game comes out that I want, I add it to the spreadsheet, and then I random. And if I hit that game, I'll buy it. But if I don't, then I don't. Then I don't buy it. But I get that sense of like, okay, it's added to the collection. I just don't. I'm just gonna keep working through the backlog. Anyway, I don't know if this is interesting for anyone. Then again, I never know if this is interesting for everyone, so who cares? It's interesting for you and I.
Right.
Yeah, we've got movie night on Friday, and what are we watching on Friday? Oh, we watched From Dusk Till Dawn, which was a fun experience with
Yeah.
our group.
For
And
me, it was.
you and you and I went through and eliminated 40 movies from the list when it started. With
That just weren't gonna work.
Yeah, that aren't going to work with that crowd. What was the movie we rolled for? Oh, Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
I
That's why I
tried.
couldn't remember.
I tried to take it off. After From Dusk Till Dawn, I was like, no, let's watch Seven Samurai or Rashomon, not Star Trek 2.
But look, it's got to be watched.
It's
So
got to
might
be
as well
it's got to
just
be
do
it's
it.
got to be watched. I actually that's when you get to like a hardcore trekker, usually that's the movie they say is their favorite. It might be my least favorite.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Ian always going against the grain.
I like 4 and 6. The Undiscovered Country is terrific. And I even like 3 a little bit. Anyway, so we're doing that on Friday, and then Saturday we have the patron hangout where we're talking about family.
Yeah. So should be fun. Come and join us. We'll
Please and
and yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back next week with hopefully a more polished, a little more refined structure. Hopefully there'll be some kind of structure because this was a shit show, but this was a fun shit show, and it is good to be back.
Well, we hope you feel the same. But all right, my friends, we will see you this week or next. Bye.
Bye-bye.